Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about the new week. Happy Monday. Yay. Except I overslept this morning. And then I didn't get to do everything that I would normally do in order to get ready in the morning. So I've only had a couple sips of my coffee even this morning. It's crazy, right? You have to wake up and get on air and look your best, which is a process, and have your coffee and be awake. So maybe it's better that I'm not fully awake yet. My eyes still feel heavy and I could go back to sleep easily, because perhaps it's that kind of week. And wouldn't it be nice to have a week where we weren't quite so scattered and crazy? But that's not the case exactly. We will have a better week this week with fewer things going on. As I alluded to on Friday, it's a month, December being a month of not a lot of chaos. I mean, planets are always doing something, of course, and the moon triggers things off and on, but it isn't the kind of month that we've had the last several. So thankfully, we can concentrate on our holidays and family things and not so much about what's going on in the skies. Although I just want to say, ask people how they did this weekend with some of the crazy energies. I felt like I was on an up and down ride. And the funny thing about it for me is that during the week, I am writing for the week ahead. And so then when things are happening to me personally over the weekend or over the week, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What transit was that, and what week is that? And it's funny. It's a weird experience because something happened yesterday and I was absolutely certain that it was something to do with Chiron. And it turns out it was something to do with Chiron in my own personal chart, but not so much what I was thinking, which is next Sunday Chiron turns direct from its retrograde station in Pisces, but I was thinking it was yesterday. And so I was pacing. I was literally, what happened had me pacing my house, and I'm grumbling to myself, and I'm telling myself, internal dialogue going on and saying, okay, this wasn't about you. This isn't about you. And I'm telling myself that I have to move through this. And what is this triggering in me? And why is this triggering this in me? And my husband is like, he's making coffee or breakfast or something. And as I'm pacing behind him, he's like, what happened? Well, I'm not going to mention names because that wouldn't be right. But there is one of our listeners, previous listeners. I don't know that she's tuning in right now. And if you are, it's okay because I'm not sharing your name. Texted me yesterday morning, very early, and like 6:30 or so when I got up, and said, I am really sad. She said, I haven't been tuning into your morning lives because I'm really sad that people have to charge for the work they do. You shouldn't charge for work that is based on the misfortunes of other people. And I took that. And I went, okay, wait, she's not speaking personally of me. And then I looked at it and I went, okay. So I answer her back. And first of all, I asked her what's wrong because I thought maybe she needed me and she didn't have the money or something to pay for it. And of course, I'm always willing to help out in that way if I can. And but it wasn't that. She was just on this subject of people that do the work I do, psychic mediums, astrologers, healers, that kind of thing, that people that do psychic work or spiritual work, let's put it, shouldn't charge for their services. And that because that was based on the misfortune of other people. And that pulled me up short because I remember years ago when I first began being an astrologer that I couldn't charge for the work I did. I held some sort of deeply held belief, some maybe previous lifetime belief about just that, about not charging for the work that I do. And so I mean, I don't know how many readings I've given over my lifetime that were absolutely free, where I wouldn't take money. Even if people were offering it to me, I wouldn't take it. And then I moved up to like $20 a reading, and then eventually realized, okay, wait a minute, you're totally doing this wrong. And she brought it all back up to me yesterday, right? She brought it all up. That stupid sun squaring Mars confrontation was right there in my face. And, I sent her back a text and I said, well, what's happening with you? She didn't answer that part of it. I said, doctors and nurses, they all seem okay. It's okay for them to charge to do the work they do, based on often the misfortune of other people, right? Because an illness or an accident or trauma is a misfortune. It could be considered that, but that was okay. It was okay for them to charge their exorbitant fees and things like that and get paid for the work they do, because they went to school to learn how to do that. I mean, so she was all over the place in this, and I'm getting mad. I feel myself getting mad. And I know I'm going, wait a minute, whoa, 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 whoa. I can feel that Mars, squaring the sun energy, that heat, that fire inside, right? Just boiling up to the surface. And there were so many things I wanted to say, but they would have been the things that wouldn't have been nice. And they would have been things that weren't very, that I mean, I could have thrown it in her face. I could have said things like, well, I invite you to look in the mirror and see why it is, but I didn't. I just stayed, in sort of a loving space as much as I could while seething on the inside. Well, that didn't help me any, right? I'm seething on the inside. I'm putting my phone, and I'm getting ready to do a reading, right? I did a reading yesterday morning at 9 a.m. my time. So this conversation is happening with, in an hour or so of me doing that. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute, you have got to dial this back. So, I mean, my whole point in sharing this is that life is always throwing these things at us. And yesterday it came out of the blue. I wouldn't have even expected that. And this person isn't a dear friend or anything that I'm talking to all the time. This is someone I rarely talk to that hit me up through Messenger, with Facebook Messenger. And it was so interesting to watch. And as I'm pacing my house, wondering why it is that this is in my face today, it suddenly occurred to me that Chiron is sitting at 27 to almost 28 degrees of Pisces. And my natal sun is sitting at 28 degrees of Gemini. And so Gemini and Pisces are squaring. And Pisces also happens to be the sign that my Chiron is in. And so I was having a chironic episode yesterday, and obviously something here that I hadn't cleared yet. And so the point is, if you were suffering through things like this over the weekend, where, this went from this ugly feeling to this beautiful thing that I was doing as a reading. And then, the rest of the day kind of having that same pendulum swing going back and forth, then it was all right and perfect, right? It was all right up there with what everybody else was experiencing. And not that I'm going to say that I did this absolutely perfectly or correctly, but I did keep it reeled in. I didn't, splash it out at her, all of the things that I could have said, or all of the things that I was feeling inside. I did not spill that outward, but I did work with that energy in myself for a long while yesterday, off and on. I mean, I didn't sit there and just belabor the point, but I wondered, why was that showing up right then? What was that all about? And, again, I go to, was that a sign from the universe? It's time to do something different or what have you. So interesting day yesterday. That sun squaring the planet Mars carries over into today, along with the Venus opposing Uranus, which is where surprising things come up in your relationships, or that, in your value system, in your self-worth. Venus represents all three of those: your values, your self-worth, and your money. And Uranus brings up surprises. With sun squaring Mars, it brings up conflict. And with Uranus in the mix across the hall from across the hall from my sun, likely it's going to be another Chiron sort of episode. And then, of course, whatever it is in your chart is going to bring up issues as well. So interesting days. today and the rest of the week has some interesting things. Finally, we're going to get relief from Mercury in retrograde as it changes direct later in the week. So let's take a look ahead and see what's going on. Let's see how everybody else fared this weekend. Good morning, Colleen. Good morning, Terry. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Tina. In the human realm, value translates as dollars. Yes. Mimi says, oh gosh, I wish folks understood that yours and others' times, energy, and knowledge have a monetary value. You know, as I said to her, Mimi, if we were trading in shells or chickens or whatever, it would be the same thing. I would gladly accept that, right? If someone came to me and said, hey, I have this, I'd like to trade you for a reading, I would do it. I do that all the time with people. So it's not that, it's not about the money, because even if we were, you know, trading with shells and chickens and buttons or whatever, we would still have this issue about value for your time and the exchange of value. And so she started quoting something to me from the Bible and about, you know, spirit work, you know, being a gift from God and not yours to charge for, something like that. And, you know, I don't know the Bible very well, but I know that, you know, everything that is in the Bible has another alternate verse in it that is the exact opposite, that says something completely different. And you just can't argue when people start to pull that out at you, right? And I realized it wasn't my problem. I was making it my problem. And definitely there's something there for me to look at because I was upset. But it doesn't mean that this was truly my problem. It, I think, was really hers. And maybe she is struggling with something. And it just happened to be that I was the karmic mirror for that in some way. I didn't mean to be. I wouldn't want to be the karmic mirror for anybody, but sometimes that's out of our hands, right? Good morning, Holly. Why would you not charge? You have to make a living too. Exactly. And that's what I said. I'm like, this is what I do for a living. Why wouldn't I charge? I don't know. And when you know, check against what other people are charging, I charge just below really what everybody else charges. So I don't know what to say about that. It's not my issue again. Good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, Vanita. Cindy, good morning. She says she wishes she could go back to sleep. Me too. My eyes feel really heavy. And good morning, Michelle Gay. It's good to see you all. Let's see. Good morning. What does Mimi say? Good morning. Is it chilly there? It is chilly and foggy. Like the fog rolled in after sort of the sunlight. I didn't see the sunlight. I saw the sunrise. But now it's foggy and it's like in the 30s. So it's probably a little icy out there, slippery out there. So, but no snow and no below freezings yet, although that's coming this week. Good morning, Kathy. She says, some people just like to be miserable, but need to make someone else miserable too. I have strong opinions on Facebook, but have gotten attacked viciously, so I just block them. That happens on Facebook a lot, where people feel free to just come up and, you know, bash you. And in some way, you know, it is my problem in some way, right? In some way, this is me. If I did not have a reaction to it, then I could say it isn't my problem. But I reacted. I mean, I didn't gut wrench react, like, you know, go out and call her, you know, all kinds of names or say she's being stupid or dumb or whatever. I didn't do that, but I felt it within me. And the fact that I was having that kind of reaction tells me there's still some parts of that are ringing within my being as truth. And I have struggled with that. And so there was this vestige of that within me. A lot of you may be feeling things like this, maybe not exactly like that, but these pieces of yourself where the wound has been present over your life because the planet Chiron has retrograded backwards into a sign that it spent a lot of time in. And the main theme in that sign was about being a victim and being a martyr, alternately victim and martyr energy, having faith in a benevolent universe, faith and trust, and letting go, letting God, surrendering, etc. And it is back in those last few degrees of that sign for the next, you know, several weeks. And it has been there. But because it's, you know, so close to making a very big challenge to the sun in my own natal chart, it was up for me, right? It was there. And it showed me that I wasn't completely clear of my own belief that charging for my work is wrong. So I'm dealing with that in my own self. Thus, why knowing all of these things that are happening in a given week give us such insight into what's going on, because then when you are triggered by something, or even if something wonderful, exciting, wonderful happens, you know, oh, that's what was happening. And this is where it is in my chart, right? That's the exciting thing about being able to do this. So Kathy, yes, some people do like to be miserable and they like to, throw it out there onto other people, but she really could not have touched me at all if there wasn't some peace in resonance with her. Natasha, good morning to you. She says, loving your confirmation of what is going on, yet I wish your confirmations were not so personal. I kind of love having personal confirmation because I can share it with you guys. I can share it because now I'm even in my own world, I'm seeing these connections to what's happening in, the planets as above, so below. I can dial it in even closer because now I have, a personal experience. And many times in the morning, you guys are also having personal experiences and sharing them. And we can kind of trace that back to what's happening. And does it happen like that every time? No, I dare say not. But some of you may be experiencing the same thing with undervaluing your work out there in the world. Some of you may be experiencing that same little, struggle within about charging for enough for the work you do. So it's probably something that's up for many people, and I get to share that from my own experience. So let's see. Mimi, yes, bartering for equal value is perfectly acceptable, sometimes even better. I know, I love that. Patricia Woods, oh my God, I had the same kind of day that you did yesterday. See, it's not just me, but it was out there in a big way. Petra, good morning, sweetheart. You have a gift, which is your work and should be paid for, just like I have a gift and I get paid for it. But I had the same problem last week with a customer. I think it's interesting. I think if I were a teacher, and I am a teacher of spiritual knowledge, but let's just say I worked in a school, no one would question my getting paid to do that work. No one. No one would say, well, you're teaching kids, you shouldn't get paid for it. Although they think teachers shouldn't get paid as much as they get paid, but it wouldn't be an issue about whether I should charge because I have this gift of teaching. So it's retarded, right? I mean, you put it out in the real world somewhere and it's all okay. But if you bring it into the spiritual realm and you're doing that work, some people have an issue with that. And of course, I obviously have an issue with it too, somewhere inside. Otherwise, it wouldn't have resonated. But I dealt with my own stuff. I'm still dealing with it. And I'm sharing it because you all might be dealing with it too. Let's see. Cindy had a wonderful weekend, but we did have a very strong tornado go over the top of our house on Saturday. I just don't allow many people on my Facebook because of the drama stuff. Oh my God, Cindy, I'm so glad you're okay. I had a thought about you because I got something across my Facebook feed, I think it was, about 22 tornadoes in South Illinois. And I knew that you lived somewhere near there. I wondered, but I'm glad that it wasn't something that ruined your house or anything like that. Glad you're safe. Thank you for letting us know. Good morning, April. Hi, ladies. I'm on the road again, so I'll get the replay. But no, I'm thinking of all of you. Well, thank you for checking in with us, April, and our thoughts are with you. Be safe on the road. Kathy, my greatest problem is keeping my mouth shut, but I am learning. It's not worth even arguing. You are okay. She is not your judge. People sell crafts, etc. online, and that's okay. Yeah. So I do have a problem with my mouth sometimes, but I've learned. I've learned that space, several months back, we were talking about that space between action and reaction, or the space between reaction and action, where you can breathe, right? And in the breath of that, you get to choose what you're going to say or how you're going to say what you need to say. And that's the important thing here that I remembered in the heat of battle. I didn't knee jerk and just, say things that I would regret later, or, just say things, Mars confrontation. Mars is also, let me tell you this. I had this thought this morning as I was preparing the day, is that Mars in Pisces can be passive aggressive. And we have Venus now back into, or forward again, but into Scorpio, also passive aggressive. And we have Mercury now in retrograde, but having retrograded backwards to Scorpio. So we still have this passive aggressive energy pretty dominant there. And, it makes me wonder, okay, where am I, being that way? Right? Am I being passive aggressive? And the thought had occurred to me in some of the things that I was saying back to this person, that it was very nicely positioned aggression. And then I would erase so that I didn't actually send something that was like that. So there is an element of passive aggression that is going on as well. And, literally, what she was saying could have been a generalized comment, but I knew viscerally that it was, kind of being aimed at me and people like me that are out here doing this kind of work and getting paid for it. And yet there was still this passive aggression coming through. And, that's another thing that might be going on here, because Mars in Pisces can't be as overt as he usually is. Like if this was happening when Mars is in Aries, it would be right in your face. And, someone would say, you are a charlatan for coming out here and charging people for spiritual work. But that's not quite how she said it. It was a little more, passive aggressive. And so we might be dealing with passive aggression over the weekend and even into the week here, because today also the sun is still squaring Mars so the sun in a fire sign and Mars in water. So we make steam, right? Steaminess. So everybody take care today that even in your own self, draw it in. Am I getting ready to, do something that could be considered passive aggressive or overtly aggressive? Am I in reaction? Did this trigger a wound for me that I'm now getting ready to throw out there at someone else? And then just monitor what it is that you respond to, how you respond to what it is. So there we go. Let's see. Cindy says, I have that problem too, Kathy. My mouth reacts fast, but I'm getting much better. Remember too, Sagittarius energy is blunt, right? Sagittarius is known as the sign of bluntness. They usually do not pull punches, right? If you're wearing something they don't like on you, they likely are going to tell you about it, and no hidden words. So we have the sun in the sign known for bluntness, but the planet of action, confrontation, and conflict in a sign known for passive aggression. Yikes, right? So you can see that there are these invisible knives, right, that people want to throw at you, possibly. Others of you probably are not experiencing anything like this, but know it's out there. And that's one way to look at it, right? As we are in the know. Okay, so today we have the moon beginning the week in void, of course, at least not right now, but it will be shortly at 10:16 my time through 11:55 my time. The moon will be in void, of course, and that means it won't be a good time in the next couple of hours to take much action. Here on the West Coast, that's early in our work day. For you on the East Coast, that's about 1:15 to 2:55. So, but the couple of hours, middle of your day, perhaps, where things may slow down, and we'll have to remember not to push energy. And then the lovely moon will move out of Libra, where it is right now, and into Scorpio, joining Venus and Mercury that are also back in Scorpio. So we may have another day or so yet of this kind of couched aggression, that scorpion sting, right? But it can also be a time for passion and excitement around something that you're here to master, or something that you really love about what you do. So it's good energy. I don't mean to say that it's all passive aggression, but it is sort of exacerbating the energy that's already there with Venus and Mercury back into those signs, kind of retracing territory it's been in already. So we just have to work with it, right? And let's see, there are a couple of other things going on today too. Mercury is also trining Chiron. So there's a smooth flow between communication, the mind, and the wound, the healing process of that wound, which we get to experience in a way that we get to choose, right? That we're choosing how it is that we're going to be doing this. Right now, actually, that trine is in effect, and it probably was in effect a little bit yesterday, even as Mercury would have been backing into that particular configuration. And so Mercury trine Chiron gives us access, ready access to healing energy, right? We can heal through some of these things. And maybe that is the exact reason that would have come up for me, just showing me there's still some charge I have on charging for the work I do. And I don't know if that means I charge too little. Maybe there's somewhere I charge too much. I don't know. But it's up to me now to deal with that energy. And wherever that healing potential is going on in your own chart is where you are also working through this. So fun stuff for us today. Let's take a look ahead at the week. Since it's Monday, we can kind of take a peek ahead and see what we have in store for us. Just checking to see if I forgot something. Oh, yes. Also today, Venus in Scorpio, or the moon, is moving into Scorpio in a few hours, and then will conjunct Venus in Scorpio. And that will put it in an opposition to Uranus. So be prepared perhaps for some surprises later today. Whether that's good or not doesn't really matter. It just means there could be some surprises. And I don't think this is a negative. I think we've had so many weird things happening to us, haven't we? So I'm assuming this might be something really good. A chance meeting with someone that, opens up your eyes in some way. Perhaps it's a healing of something that had been in your sphere of influence for a while. But definitely, especially as we get to, let's see, for you all on the East Coast after 2:00 this afternoon, maybe expect some interesting surprises to happen, right? And it may affect your relationships. It may be get into a new relationship. I don't know exactly, but it could be a good day to, bring some passion into your life, right? Maybe there's some surprising things that can come up. Oh, let's see. This week today the moon opposing Uranus. We got that down. Tomorrow, the moon trines Mars and Neptune, and then also sextiles Pluto and Saturn. So tomorrow may be a bummer day in terms of our outlook. Whenever the moon and Saturn play, and whenever the moon and Neptune play, there is the potential for us to not see things clearly, and then to get a sort of disgruntled sort of feeling or a melancholic feeling. So of the days of the week, this is the one that has the most potential for us to be feeling emotionally low, but it's also going to be a day that puts us very highly in tune with intuition or with what's going on within us. So be open to listening to your gut, to your instinct, and to what is happening on the intuitive planes with you. But also know that it may be a day that takes you into the lull, if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, it might be the plateau. It can be frustrating. So it might be a really good day to focus your energy on the things that you love to do: art, dance, sing, write, play, escape. Do something tomorrow that can help you stay out of feeling depressed or sad, or identifying with that, let's say, because I don't want to take away your feelings, right? Feelings are yours, they're truth, but you don't have to identify. Just because you're feeling sad doesn't make you sad, right? We have a tendency to say, I'm sad or I'm depressed. Well, if you're putting the I am in front of it, you're claiming it as what you are, and you are not your feelings. You feel your feelings, true, but you are not your feelings. So you want to be careful about how you term things tomorrow. On Wednesday, don't make big decisions. Wednesday is not the day. If you're looking at having to make a decision this week, delay it until the weekend or beyond, or do it earlier in the week. And that is because the sun squares Neptune on Wednesday, and the moon is conjunct Mercury retrograde on Wednesday. That does not make for clarity of thought, and it does not make for good decision making. So you want to make sure that if it's big and it's important, don't make it on Wednesday, not this week. right? Delay it if you can. It's great to be doing the internal work, processing things, etc. Hey, wait, Wednesday, that would be December 5th. That's a great day to go to a webinar. Go to the webinar, right? Use your energy to learn something new about what's coming up energetically for 2019. You don't have to sit and debate whether or not you need to take that job, let that job go, enter that relationship, leave that relationship, etc., etc. That is not the day for that kind of decision making. Thursday, hallelujah, Mercury turns direct at 27 degrees of Scorpio, exactly trine to Neptune or to Chiron and Pisces, and let the healing begin. It is also the day where the new moon if you're on the West Coast or Hawaii or Alaska, you have a new moon on Friday. If you or Thursday, excuse me, if you are in the Mountain Time Zone East, then you have the new moon on Thursday or Friday. So either way you look at it, the new moon is in Sagittarius, fire, and Mars is conjunct Neptune that day. More confusion a little bit. At least Mercury is now in forward motion, making our minds a little bit clearer. So you remember what I said about making decisions? Why don't you wait till next week? Wait until I get the energy report written for next week. Actually, I did make it already for next week. So yeah, wait until Monday or so of next week to make big decisions if you can. Because even on the weekend, this weekend, we have the moon conjunct Saturn, Chiron turns direct, and the moon is conjunct Pluto. So things are starting to turn as we get into the weekend toward being able to make clearer decisions. So maybe avoid making them if you cannot avoid them. If you absolutely have to make a decision this week about something key, follow your type and your strategy, right? If you remember what that is, follow your type and your strategy and your authority. Your authority tells you the final decision-making piece that you are meant to use, right? So this would be a great week to remember all of the tools that you have on your tool belt that help you get through choppy waters. And that's what this is, choppy. It's not high waves, crashing over your head and then bringing you down into the trough. It isn't that. It's just a little bit choppy, kind of up and down, a little bit of things out there that are unexpected, some things out there that are passive aggressive, and some things that are absolutely stupendously wonderful. So mixed bag week, right? But definitely not something like we've had in the past. So let's take a look. What are people saying? Tom says, by the way, good morning, Tom. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Shine a little light. Kathy Miller said, I had a really good weekend. Only one thing was at church potluck. The same 4 ladies and I got stuck cleaning up. I missed a class and so did not help in the cleanup with a happy heart. Those are the most annoying things, right? Mercury retrograde computer crap. I mean, apparently issues with Tom's computer. Fortunately, just a cord unplugged somewhere, had to go out and come back in. I love it. Same thing sort of happened to me last night about 9:30. I guess it was closer to 10 last night. I went, oh my gosh, I didn't check my email. And I needed to make sure there wasn't something I needed, to take care of right away. So I went to turn my computer on and it wouldn't turn on. And I'm having a freak out, right? I could feel it. You feel it moving up from your low guts, right? Up your sacral and up into the throat. And I'm about to screech, and do what Tom's doing there and just throw a tantrum over my computer. And they went, wait a minute. Maybe the battery died because I'd had it plugged in and then I unplugged it because I was leaving to go do some errands. And I had been working on the 12-month transit charts for people. And so that it takes up a lot of, energy in the computer. So maybe the battery died. So I went through the process, plugged it in, and guess what? It worked. So yeah, there's still those techno glitches. And usually it's something simple. Hopefully it was just a cord, or hopefully it is, my battery died, or, I need to go through a restart, and it's not something big. And I think that's kind of how it's going to be. There's just some little piece that you overlooked. And as soon as you fix it, it's done, right? And it's back to normal. So by the way, that reminds me, some of you, a good chunk of you, about 2/3 of you, have already received your 12-month transit report. Let me rephrase that. 2/3 of you who have registered for the webinar have received your 12-month transit reports, and the rest of you will get it probably before the end of the day today. Remember, it is a lot of information. In some cases, it's 170 to 200 pages long. Think about it, right? It's everything personalized to you that is happening for you over the whole of a year, right? A whole of a year. So there's a lot to it. In the letter that I send along with it, I tell you about the fact we're doing a free webinar on the 27th of December that is going to be specific to showing you how to work through that report and how to best use it for you, right? So don't panic when you get it. Certainly read through it. I mean, it's mostly a day-by-day transit report. What is happening to you and what you can expect on any given day. And it's an important piece of knowing what's coming up for the year. But there are some tricks to it, and I'm going to go through that for you in that webinar. So Petra says, glad I have time to listen to you today. Was going to make a decision Wednesday. Now I'm waiting till next week. It might be a good idea, Petra, because things are so not clear when you get to Wednesday. And if you know today what the decision is, if you're clear about it by Wednesday, you may have changed your mind and then you're confused. That's what happens when the Sun and Neptune come into sort of a communion of sorts, right? The Sun has this light and it's, clear and it's strong. And then it comes into a planet that's all fuzz and unclarity and hard to pin down. And now everything that you thought you knew sort of goes out the window and can be very confusing. So best not to make a decision on that kind of a day. Wait, right? The Sun moves fast enough. A few days later, then Mercury's retrograde is turned to direct, and you've got more and more going for you. By the time we get to middle of December, the only planet left in retrograde is Uranus, and it is only retrograde until January 6th. And then we have no planets in retrograde through January and most of February. That means a lot of ability to take action, right? And that's why right now, with all of these different weird things that have been going on, it's a good time for planning. It's a good time for setting goals and looking at, where do if I want to be somewhere, where do I want to be a year from now, let's say? This time next year, what do I want to be saying I accomplished in 2019? When it comes to December of 2019. And so that requires us to look at, okay, well, if that's where I want to be, how do I get there? Right? What steps do I need to take to get there? And that's really good work that we can all be doing right now. Visioning, dreaming, goal setting, aspiring, doing those things that we can do behind the scenes to get set up for where we want to go, but just maybe not taking the big steps yet to get there. All right, let's take a quick look at the Human Design Week and see if there's anything exciting there. Of course, there's always something exciting there, but let's see. Today's December 3rd. It is December 3rd. It is the last day of the Sun at gate 9 and the Earth at gate 16. No big changes today, but there are some bigger changes tomorrow. Remember last week I said that I wanted to have you focus on the gene key 9, that was the contemplation I think that we should go next to. And that is because Jupiter switches over to gate 9 tomorrow. So even though we are done with it tomorrow via the Sun, remember that was the gate of focus and the gate that was enabling us to see the path ahead. Now Jupiter is going to be sitting there. Remember 9 in its shadow was inertia. And that the next step, the gift, was determination. And so being able to move forward out of inertia takes some effort. And we're going to be focusing on that as we get into tomorrow and gaining steam throughout the month of December. Let's see, tomorrow, the moon and the sun, or the sun and the earth, change gates. So the rest of the week, The sun is going to be at gate 5. Some of you may like this, some of you may not. And the earth will be at gate 35. So interesting energy there, because the gate 35 is the gate of, what do I call it? The gate of the jack of all trades, the Jill of all trades, right? People who are very adept at having multiple tools on their belt, right? Or multiple skills. And, people who've done many different jobs throughout their lives. So they're very adept at picking a tool that they have, that they can use in any given situation. So this is a week where the earth may be throwing us various situations, right? And gate 5, where the sun is all about timing. This is a gate that sits on the sacral and is moving up to the identity center, in that it is a gate of timing, because it is where we want to push things to happen, but they have to happen more deliberately. And it's literally a gate of routine and getting into a habit and setting forth that routine. So an interesting routine sort of week, timing out of our hands still, and the ability to rise to the occasion, because we have so many different tools that we can bring to play. The other interesting thing is that Mercury is now at the gate of bounteousness. So we have a prosperity link this week. We may be hearing good news about our finances, whether it is that, the recent stock exchange dive didn't really hurt us any, whether it is that you're going to get a raise or a new job, more money coming in. So we should be able to recognize that we have some good news coming to us about finances here in the week. And maybe, if you're on a fixed income, maybe you're getting a raise, a cost of living increase. I don't know, but it does look like it is a good week for messages coming from a space of bounteousness. And kind of like that word, right? Okay, I'm going to pull a card for us for the week, and I'm just going to I'm going to use the wisdom of the Oracle, the deck by Colette Baron Reed that I absolutely adore. And let's do it, right? Let's just do it. Wow, it's 8:40 already. Oh, well, isn't that special? Hold on, my cards are all wampus, because I haven't been in this deck since the day we did all those readings for people. Okay. You'd think I have 20 some decks of cards sitting here that I would constantly be at my decks of cards getting guidance. And I don't do that. I don't know why. It's like I don't check my chart. Why don't I check my chart? I don't know. I'm too busy doing stuff for other people. I don't think about doing it for me. Silly Janet. Okay, so this is a card for us to be mindful of for the upcoming week. And I need to get this deck really worked in, I guess. And here we go. This is our elk. Isn't that an elk? Our elk, or a reindeer with a feather duster. And it says, clean it up. Clean it up. So, and it came out right side up. So we're card number 21. So if Suzanne's out there, that's a 3. She could put up the 3 information for us. 21. Okay. Essential meaning says getting to the core of a situation, freedom from a burden, cleaning house, sweeping away what is no longer needed. And the Oracle's message says, ever feel so bogged down with emotional gunk that you can't think straight? Could you be surrounded by physical clutter in your home also? Too much work, overwhelmed, time to clean house. Every item out of place natters away at you. Every unresolved resentment, every comparison to others that leads to a sense of lack, takes up energetic space. Every unpaid bill just adds up to an unnecessary feeling of being overwhelmed. Now is the time to free yourself by energetically cleaning house. Just do it. Make room for the miracles that are lining up for you. In the relationship message, time to clear the air. Take a look at your side of the street and say what's on your mind. Nicely. Sweep away the old stuff so that a spring breeze can flow through with new energy. It's the perfect time to do an inventory of your dynamics and see what's yours and what's not yours. To clean up the relationship. Everyone brings some baggage. Sort through what you brought with you and let go of what is no longer needed. Become unencumbered, and your relationship will flourish. The prosperity message says simple things like opening your mail, paying bills, sorting your timetable, making lists, and getting organized is what this symbol means when it comes to your work. Make time for yourself too. This card is a sign you may be overburdened and overwhelmed. It's okay to say no. You'll prosper even more if you do. Lovely. And just in case it was in protection, is it possible you may be focusing too much on other people right now? Trying too hard to be helpful? Does taking on what belongs to others make you feel needed or desired? Perhaps you think it's your calling to relieve people of their burdens, but what is the cost to you and to them? Don't clean up someone else's side of the street. You're not helping by freeing him or her of responsibility. You're also not doing yourself any favors, and you just might be adding an even greater strain. You are loved as you are. You don't need to be needed to be loved. Great message for us, right? Clean it up. Get the feather duster out. Feather or dust off your brains. That'll be later when Mercury goes retrograde. Let's see. Kathy Miller, this is me today. Oh my gosh. See, it's perfect. Petra, wow, I needed that today. I need to house clean and get rid of stuff. Tom Wright, 333. Let's sing about a 3. How many is 3? Terry, thank you, honey. And Tom, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm enrolled in a career visioning, retraining, upgrading course. I'll get food safe, first aid, serving it right, some supervisory certificates, feeling positive, sad, but optimistic. Wow, you're running the gamut there, Tom. And he says that's exactly what I'm doing. Oh, wow, that's funny. It said it twice. Oh, no. I'm enrolled in a career visioning course, feeling positive, sad, but lots of personality and soul searching. That's exactly right. Kathy, found treasures at the flea market yesterday. Yay. Petra, glad I have time to listen to you today. We're going to make a decision Wednesday. Was going to make a decision on Wednesday. Now I'm waiting till next week. Perfect. That must be exactly why you tuned in live today. So there you have it, people. It's not going to be a bad week. A little choppy, a little bit of up and down stuff. That's typical. I would rather have choppy than have that long-term stuff that we've been dealing with. I think we're near the end. We can be optimistic. We can be happy. We can be engaged. And we can also know that by not reacting to the things that are showing up in our outer world, we can still be at peace, even though you might have to pace the floor a bit to get there. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in this morning. I love you all. Mwah. See you tomorrow. Take care.